just a little fun question, because I obviously Matilda is a Roald Dahl adaptation. It's based on his book and everything, but we all know how receptive Roald Dahl was when it came to his work being put into film or in theatre and everything. Do you, in whatever opinion that you have, do you think that he would have enjoyed this musical? Do you think he would have been more critical, considering the previous films that he's been very critical? Especially, like, we look at Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, we all love it, but he didn't like it, you know. And
yeah, I think he's a famously oddly cantankerous person, but I've got no idea. I mean, you know, I know that I know that someone in his immediate family, I won't say who, but in case they don't want me to, but I mean, someone very, very, very close to him came to me and said, I think this is the one that he would have liked, which was really, like, very flattering, you know. Whether that's true, though, we don't really know. He may have gone, what have you done? You've messed this right up. But, you know, when you're sort of doing it, you kind of, you don't, weirdly, I think being too respectful to the original writer is sort of disrespectful to the work. You know what I mean? Like, I think Roald Dahl was a master sort of craftsman at what he does. And what he does is he writes children's books brilliantly. You know, he writes those books incredibly and with great flair and talent and ability. And those books are perfect for children's books. And that is a particular form. That form does not translate on stage. So at what he wrote, trying to make it, turn it into a stage play, if you're too reverential to it, you will not do it. And it needed to be sort of broken up and bits added and bits taken away. And if you don't do that, then, you know, it's a lot harder than it looks, I think, Dahl. I think you know, it's sort of I think because he gives you these brilliant, amazing backgrounds, we all think, wow, it's amazing, there's loads of story in there. But actually, when you sort of pull it apart, you realise that he doesn't really, like for example, in the book, Matilda doesn't really do anything. Like, Matilda kind of does. We really struggled because Matilda didn't really do much, you know. And even the Trunchbull, she doesn't meet the Trunchbull till like the last third of the book, you know. It's sort of like there was all these quite fairly large problems with it. And also Miss Honey's backstory just suddenly comes in the last 5 or 15 pages. Like, suddenly there's this whole dump of backstory for Miss Honey that resolves the whole book. And all of these things, they totally work as a book. And when you're reading a children's book, you're kind of reading a chapter at a time to your kids. On stage, you could just feel that wasn't going to work. So you have to sort of rip it up. And not rip it up, I mean, you have to kind of be able to break it apart and change it as needs be. What was amazing was, you know, at the time, Lizzie Dahl, his widow, was in charge of the estate. And I remember when I'd sort of, when she read the first draft, the very first thing she said to me was, I love Rodolfo, you know, and Rodolfo's a character I totally made up. And I thought, oh, that's like really, that's a really generous way of her saying, you're okay to sort of go and invent stuff, you know. And she was actually, she had 1 or 2 notes that were really useful, you know, really, really good, 1 or 2 reminders of what his work was about, you know.